it's the weekend, and when the weekend comes, so does Michael Snyder. Well, I don't mean that in any salacious manner. Michael Snyder with his Culture Blast report, telling us all about the movies that are out this week. Hello, Michael.
Hey, I'm coming right at you. Well, Duck. Yeah, here I am live in Hollywood and ready to lay out some stuff about new movies. And yeah, there's some films opening this weekend that they didn't let the reviewers see. They include Geostorm and Boo 2, a Medea Halloween, so draw your own conclusions about those, although I really, they don't show much promise. I also missed a review of Leatherface, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel, but you can't see everything. So let's get to what I did see. The Snowman will lead us off, adapted from a best-selling crime novel. The Snowman concerns the cat-and-mouse pursuit of a serial killer by Oslo, Norway detective, and this is his name, Harry Hole, H-O-L-E. Is that a Norwegian surname? I don't know. Anyway, he's played by Michael Fassbender, and that's very promising as you're approaching this movie. And the story gets going when a single mother disappears, and the first big clue is her scarf wrapped around a creepy snowman outside her home. And if that doesn't say serial killer, the flashbacks to someone's childhood abuse should. So Hole starts connecting the snowman to other grisly cases in the past, and the hunt is on, although the hunt should be for a better movie. Director Thomas Alfredson appears to be mentored by Martin Scorsese here. I mean, Scorsese co-produced, and the movie was edited by Scorsese's award-winning go-to editor, Thelma Schoonmaker. So I'm thinking, okay. Co-screenwriter Hossein Amani wrote and directed The Two Faces of January, a film noir that I just loved. I'm getting excited when I see this info. The cast of The Snowman includes, obviously, you get Fassbender and Rebecca Ferguson as Harry's driven fellow detective, Charlotte Gainsbourg as his ex, Val Kilmer looking like some sort of weird cousin to the late period Marlon Brando as another police detective, J.K. Simmons as a Norwegian politician, Toby Jones, Chloe 70. I'm thinking, okay. It's incredibly disappointing, especially when compared to other mystery or procedural films that are set in Scandinavia. I mean, The Snowman has talent in key roles, but is so, pardon the expression, lifeless, especially regarding the lead character, this decorated but alcoholic detective played by Fassbender, that it trudges along like it's going through the snowdrifts that pile up during the movie. Yeah, no to The Snowman. Only the Brave, on the other hand, is a film I went into thinking, this is going to be formula. It's one of those based on a true story movies that seems to have a legitimacy and power despite the tedium of seeing these films rolled out by Hollywood. It also has character development that generates empathy in a viewer. I mean, as a film about a real elite Arizona-based firefighting unit coming together and facing its greatest challenge, it's a disaster movie that actually offers a series of catastrophes that build in intensity until the big one. All the fire sequences and the firefighting sequences seem technically on the mark, and for reals, good old special effects. And Josh Brolin is ideal as the supervisor, Eric Marsh, who leads this rowdy but elite Granite Mountain Hotshots unit. Miles Teller, who I generally I'm not crazy about, is really good as the raw recruit that he puts under his wing. Jennifer Connelly is Marsh's loyal patient wife. Jeff Bridges is the sage mentor. Andy McDowell is his wife. And you get actors like James Badge Dale and Taylor Kitsch as part of the roster of firefighters. It's really the best movie so far from the director Joseph Kosinski, who did Oblivion and Tron Legacy. In fact, Only the Brave is genuinely thrilling and really heartrending. When it comes to action and adventure, you could do worse. This is good stuff. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is a stunning and unsettling mashup of genres from Yorgos Lanthimos, who directed The Lobster, which I thought was kind of unlikely and strange and kind of amazing, but I wasn't totally sold on it. This movie, on the other hand, had me from the start. A master of the world type heart surgeon played to perfection. He's an imperfect guy, but he's played to perfection by Colin Farrell. Has a lovely wife who's played with her usual expertise by Nicole Kidman, and 2 kids. And he has to confront a failure in his career and its costs when he tries to comfort this needy teenage son of a patient who died under his care on the operating table. So the kid starts to display really odd and even kind of sinister behavior, and that's where things start going off the rails. The kid is Martin, and a young actor named Barry Keoghan plays him and makes him one of the most disturbed and disturbing characters I've seen on screen in a while. I mean, you've heard of The Bad Seed. This is the very bad and super creepy teen. Based on this and The Lobster, Lanthimos makes these really unique and idiosyncratic movies, and The Killing of a Sacred Deer is chilling and kind of a tastier dish to my mind than The Lobster, which kind of seemed all over the place. This is much more focused, even as it combines family drama, morality play, horror, revenge fantasy, and so on. I really recommend The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and I think it would probably read well on home video as well, although it's well shot. Wonderstruck was a big disappointment for me. Director Todd Haynes did Carol and Safe and Far From Heaven and Velvet Goldmine, so the bar is set pretty high. And here he tries to tell parallel stories of this young kid in the Midwest and a young girl in New York from 50 years ago, and they're both trying to connect with the same family lineage and background. And you've got Julianne Moore and Michelle Williams in the cast, and that's always kind of a positive circumstance. You're working with some talent here, and the script seems to be well written and pretty diligent. But, you know, as lovely as it is, it's oddly unsatisfying. It has very convoluted, circuitous ends. There's this whole thing about the Unisphere and the site of the old 1964 World's Fair in New York. It's weird and it's ambitious and it looks great, but this wasn't enough for me. Haynes kind of disappointed me with Wonderstruck. But yeah, it looks beautiful. It's based on some kind of hotshot novel and it was adapted by the author, Brian Selznick. So, you know, again, the bar's set high, maybe too high in this case. Let's wrap it up with BPM, a French drama which takes an unflinching look at the interactions and the philosophy and demonstrations and infighting and the achievements of ACT UP activists in Paris during the AIDS crisis in the early 1990s. It won Grand Prize at Cannes this year. It's probably France's submission for Best Foreign Film Oscar. I can't imagine them sending anything else. And it's a period piece about this really turbulent time when the plague was mysterious and scary to people, whether their lives were affected by it or not. I mean, we know a lot more about AIDS now with medical advances and preventive measures, but back then things were really turbulent and freaked out. And the story here is pretty powerful because it focuses in on particularly one couple. And this one couple has to deal with one of the two being stricken to the point where, you know, final stage AIDS shows up. And the impact of this patient's suffering on family members and friends, survivors who are also infected, friends who aren't, is incredibly potent. And I don't think there's been a more graphic depiction of this in a drama. And I thought BPM deserves to be seen. People should see it. And kudos to director, co-writer Robin Campillo. We missed a bunch of films last week. Nothing that extraordinary. Jackie Chan disappointed me in his kind of dramatic role in The Foreigner, despite being directed by Martin Campbell, who did those James Bond films, and co-starring Pierce Brosnan, a former James Bond. It didn't knock me out. But I do want to say that if people get an opportunity, they should probably seek out and enjoy Marshall, which is a pretty terrific docudrama about the Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall's early years, starring in a very powerful performance the great Chadwick Boseman, who's going to be Black Panther. Well, he already is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Support from Josh Gad and Kate Hudson. It's a good film directed by Reginald Hudlin. I really liked it.
Okay, well, that seems to wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah, what do you got going on? You watching anything on TV?
No, there's nothing much. I mean, all the new stuff is out there, and I watch it. I think kind of a cute show is Me, Myself, and I, which I think is kind of adorable. And the DC universe continues to degrade itself a bit. Well, I mean, Arrow is just unwatchable. Supergirl is okay. And The Flash is okay, right? The only thing that's my treat every week in that whole DC universe is Lucifer and Gotham, and I think they both held on to their stuff. Okay, so
I think Lucifer is one of the great sleeper shows on television.
Oh, yeah.
I think Tom Ellis as the devil himself in Los Angeles. I love the guy's performances.
Yeah, no, it's a very good show. So those two shows I kind of look forward to. You're the Worst is the worst this year. It has gotten just terrible. It's a big disappointment because, as it was with you, it was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I was really on board with it, and it's been strangely all over the map this year, and it hasn't really cohered into anything.
Yeah, just doesn't. And we're getting too close to the end of the run for it to start redeeming itself, So that show, So
yeah, I held out hope from the second or third episode, and they just keep going into these sidebars where the two main characters are apart, and it just does not work for me either.
And also, one of my guilty pleasures is is Dice, which I think Andrew Dice Clay has redeemed his career with this thing. Because he went from being just absolutely an obnoxious on-stage persona to a very lovable character on television. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's worth the time. It's definitely.
No, I
time.
wish the guy well. Actually, my few interactions with him have been really incredibly positive. He seems like a good person down heart.
Well, he's always a great actor, and that whole side trip he made into comedy was just pathetic. But, as an actor, he's terrific. I mean, he did the Woody Allen film a couple of years ago and was just terrific in it.
Exactly. That was a revelation for sure. Anyway, cool. I guess we'll move on to next week. And in the meantime, people can check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page.
And Phil, and you sound really good today because today he's using his Skype on his phone, and somehow the sound of the phone is fine. So let's do it that way from now on. It sounds like you're almost in the room with me. So.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, we should have been doing that all along. Michael Snyder, ladies and gentlemen, and there's more GABNet coming right up.